What up, guys? It's Derp here. I know it's been a while. Uh, some shit happened. I know I've been gone for like a month, a little over. Um, a bunch of life stuff happened. One of my best friends from my childhood passed away. Then almost immediately after, my Mrs. Derp's grandmother passed away, and then we had her parents visiting, and her mom ended up having to go to the hospital the day they landed back home. So things have been a little crazy over here in the land of Derp, but things are starting to get better. So I'm getting back to making videos and talking about Darker Darker. I am going to be honest, I haven't had time to play. I haven't had the drive to play in a while, which is why I haven't been streaming. I've been playing a lot of boring single player games like Civ 6 and stuff that's not super fun to watch live. Um if that's stuff that you guys would want me to stream, then let me know in the comments. Uh yeah. I apologize for all that stuff. I mean, it's out of my control, but life's more important. So things are getting better now, but yeah, so now I'm going to be back to making content. Now, with that out of the way, uh yeah, I'm coming back. I'm going to be making content. I'm going to be streaming again. Thanks for everybody who's still here supporting. Thanks for everybody who's been in the Discord, just chatting, having a good time. Um, I'm still there, so if you want to hang out and talk and play some games, feel free to join the Discord. I'm there pretty much every day. Still playing games with people. But yeah, thanks to everybody who's still supporting on the Patreon. Thanks to everybody who's still a member on the YouTube channel. And I'm back. But this video is going to be a little bit different. Usually, I don't like to do this kind of stuff where I talk about, you know, um, games that I play, games that I actually really love in any kind of negative light. But I like, I don't like to do opinion pieces, right? Um, but I think I kind of have to. I think that there are some things happening with the game of Dark and Darker, this game that I love so much, that are uh, affecting my drive to play it. And one of these things is kind of the state, just the overall state of the game. Now, I was going through Reddit as I always do, um, just checking through the Dark and Darker Reddit, and I saw this. I saw, you know, uh, where did all the normies go? This is I'm seeing more of these posts. I'm seeing more of these posts. I'm seeing a lot more negative posts on the Reddit, which sucks in general. This game is great. I think a lot of people love this game, but there are some issues that need to be addressed. And I think this post is super simple, and it's getting upvoted quite a lot, which I don't really take stock into. There's a lot of negative Nancy's and naysayers and just negativity on Reddit and Discord and anywhere social media related. But you kind of have to pay attention, because at some point when the overwhelming majority of players are saying the same thing on every single channel, they're at least saying something relatively true. Listening to players can lead developers to do really, really stupid stuff. Developers should also never listen to streamers, never listen to YouTubers, myself included, but they should make the game that they want to make, and then it lives or dies based on their vision, right? That's how games should be developed. It's their money, it's their time, it's you know, their process. They should do what they want to do with the game. And then we decide whether we like it or not by buying it. But at a certain point, developers can do stuff that turns a lot of people off. And what is happening right now with the overall game state of Dark and Darker is that there's a lot of things that are driving casual players away. There's a lot of things that keep hardcore fans and the hardcore PvP crowd very interested in this game. But if you drive away the casual, the bottom line is that it's pretty standard economics. About 90% of all gamers consider themselves casual gamers. Like in reality, about 90% of players are casual gamers. About 10% or less are like professional or either professional gamers or play video games for a living, whether it's via streaming or announcing or whatever. They're related in that professional gamer category, right? There's about 10% of all gamers. And these are statistics that come from, Blizzard and Riot and like popular game website, like video game websites. Now, when 90% of the player base is casual and about 60% of those players are average or below skill level, if you want your game to make money, you have to at some point kind of not really pander to those people, but make the gameplay experience enjoyable. Because otherwise you have this repetitive loop where those people buy the game up front, video game company gets their bag, and then those people all leave. So there's no reoccurring income because you end up with situations like this where all of the normies, which are the casual players, the Timmies that everybody's talking about, the Timmies, the casuals, the noobs, whatever you want to call them, when all of those people leave, all that does is replace the lowest person on the totem pole for as far as skill level. And what we're seeing is a lot of people that weren't going into high roller, but were going into normal lobbies with full kits and basically pub stomping and griefing lower skill players. And now those players have stopped playing the game. As a personal anecdote, I would say all but one of my real life friends that I played the game with a lot, my entire like 3 groups of players that I played with, I had like 3 full-time groups of players that I was playing with. All of them have either stopped playing or only play with other hardcore I don't play hardcore. I go in mostly gray runs. I do 0 to hero. I do stuff like that. I play to have fun. So there's 2 types of players that I have in my group, my personal group left. The hardcore PvPers that treat it like a BR and just only go in to murder everybody, get the best loot possible, be overgeared, get juiced as hell. They'll go do rat runs for 4 hours as a rogue on the ruins and just literally stealth their way until their bank account's full, and then they'll spend all that money on getting BIS kits, and then they'll get like 3 BIS kits, and then they'll just go roll regular lobbies repeatedly. Those people are left, and then you have the people who play maybe like 1 or 2 games a night. Maybe they'll jump on for an hour or 2 at most, and they get stomped, or they don't. They go in and they just kind of goof around and have fun over VoIP, and they're kind of just there to dick around, and they don't really care what happens to their gear, because 9 times out of 10 they're going in a gray kit, that the starter kit. So those are your 2 player bases. But what ends up happening is if those people that run grays and the casual, like they basically run base kit and what they find in dungeons, if they can't ever extract because of the other opposing side that's basically using them as loot pinatas, there comes a certain point where the gimmick of the game stops being the draw and the fun, right? The simple combat, the looter extraction stuff, like the gimmicks of the game, stop being the main draw. And then what they realize is that there's not a lot of actual content that they have access to, and the accessibility is the difficult part, and that's why all the normies are leaving. But let's take a look at this post specifically because there's a lot of comments on here that touch on a lot of things. Now, I want to shout out to, and this is content created by Common Click 1860. This is from about a day ago as of me recording this video. And what it says is basically, if you're not being spawn rushed, you're likely loading into lobbies with 170 hit point ruby silver fighters, bug abusing barbarians, demons, glee rogues, or half a lobby of half epic geared players. I can't play the game. What happened? Right? So this guy comes off to me as somebody who is pretty decent at the game and probably used to pub stomp. He's probably above average or slightly above average, and is used to pub stomping. And now all of the casual people are leaving because they're sick of getting pub stomped and they're sick of getting griefed, so they're leaving the game to go play other stuff where that is more, casual friendly. And now this person is on the lowest rung of the totem pole, right? This person is now the loot pinata because everybody he was treating as a loot pinata has left. Now he has turned into the thing that he was. And that's the cycle of hardcore PvP games that don't have any kind of casual mode or any kind of casual friendly mode, or don't do something to keep casual players. Now, if you look at this post, there's a lot of interesting comments on here. Now, this one also from Doomite explains a lot, right? I am somewhere in between the Timmies and the Chads in terms of skill level, but I haven't logged in lately because the atmosphere in Dungeons has changed. My friend group stopped playing, and as a solo, I kept running into the same issues my group did, which is getting absolutely face rolled by teams with great gear until my stash gets depleted. I still like the game and will probably play in the future. I just need a break from getting endlessly curb stomped, attempting to scrape together a stash to be competitive. In before, get good, maybe I'll get better later, but right now the game is too much of a grind against the odds to play consistently without breaks. Which leads into people are saying trader channels are dying too because there's less players, there's less casual players using the trade channel, so even the trading channel is dying. Oh, thank you. Even the trade channel is dying. Mrs. Wigglies just brought me some nachos. Thank you. But when the players, there's a lot of systems in place that start breaking down once player levels start dipping. Trade channels, if they aren't active, you don't get gear, which kind of makes the game need an auction house because live trading isn't going to be as effective if there's not players available to live trade at all times, right? So trading channels dying. I don't think we're kind of at the point of marauders yet. People like to over exaggerate on Reddit, but there's a whole bunch of these posts. And then there's a million people saying they know how to fix it. But if you look at the main posts, it's all this type of comment. Whenever somebody has expressed concern over the terrible new player experience or lack of MMR of any kind, everyone said that it was a hardcore game and to get good. Tons of people saw this coming months ago. They warned that not giving any help to new/bad players would mean that they would leave and there would only be sweats left and no one listened. This has 252 upvotes. This is 100% in my experience, and from where I stand as somebody who has worked with people in the game development industry, some people who has helped at gaming convention trade shows, like GDC and PAX and stuff like that, and talked to publishers and developers, and like I've worked with these people. This is not something that you ever want to see in a live service game. Is that sentiment that casuals cannot play or aren't able to get the full experience of the game. So if there's only 1%, like 10% to 1% of your players getting the full experience of the game, meaning like able to go into high roller, able to go into high roller hell, or able to go into like ranked mode and ranked mode the hardest, like upper echelon. Not saying that they have to compete with the highest tier of player, but they have to be able to go into that experience, at least try and see if it works. And then if they don't, they fall back into a more casual friendly mode. There's a reason why almost every single player game since the dawn of gaming has had like an easy mode, a medium, a normal mode, and then a hard mode. And it's because what that does is it gives everybody who purchases a game a way to experience the game in a challenge setting that works for them. If you are the type of person who is like a sweaty tryhard and you grind all ranked mode all the time, you should be up there with other people who do the same thing, because that's where you get the best you get the best content as a game enjoyer, right? You're getting the best experience and the most money or the most enjoyment for what you play. Now, people will always smurf, people will always do stuff like that, but I would say this is just a hypothetical number, but I would say a large majority, like 90% of competitive players, want to go up against other competitive players. They don't want to smurf constantly. Like I've never once made a Smurf account on League of Legends. I've never once made a Smurf account on Modern Warfare 2. I was up in the top 1% for Modern Warfare 2. Never once made a Smurf account because it wasn't fun. Well, it's not fun to go in and stomp lobbies for me. It's not like that doesn't maybe once or twice to get my like aggression out. So unless you give these players an outlet to do that, what they're going to be stuck in the kiddie pool, right? I'm not trying to call for MMR. I'm not trying to call for any of that stuff. I have my own ideas, which I express to the Dark and Darker team through the proper channels. Basically, a troubadour suggestion channel on the Discord, and I give my suggestions there all the time. Some of them have been looked at, some of them haven't, but since basically the second week of early access, I've basically been saying there needs to be some kind of outlet for casual players in this game. Otherwise, this type of stuff happens. No sort of people trying to defend how the game feels right now, even though there's a reason a good portion of the casual players have left. I hope they have something planned for the patch this November. Otherwise, I don't know how many people will continue to come back if the game doesn't change meaningfully. That's a huge issue, is when players start leaving and they do that. They leave and then come back, leave and then come back. Eventually they just leave and they just stop coming back, right? So this casual player experience is only going to be given and so many chances. So in my opinion, Iron Mace kind of has to fix this problem. And it's not just one issue. There's a list of issues that I have that Iron Mace is missing the mark on. The gameplay experience is still fun as hell, and I really enjoy this game. I really enjoy this style of game. I'm gonna keep playing, every day for maybe an hour, but at some point I just get frustrated with the gameplay loop, because it pushes you to play in a way that punishes casual players. And the more casual players that leave, the more the game pushes you in the direction to kind of be a part of the problem rather than being a part of the solution. So as more casual players leave, the only way that to enjoy the game now becomes either basically RPing and fucking around and not caring about the gameplay loop at all. And not playing for the gameplay loop experience and only just going in to kind of fuck around. Or you have to play hyper competitively and sweat all the time, which is not something that I wanted to do. If I wanted to go play a hyper competitive game, I'd still be playing Modern Warfare. I'd still be playing COD. I'd be playing CSGO. I'd be playing Ranked League. I'd be playing, like an actual competitive game with like nationalized ranking systems. And I'd be playing a ranked game, right? Like a proper ranked game that doesn't just have some wonky leaderboard that doesn't really make sense, right? That's not why I joined Dark and Darker. I could play games that have a more enjoyable competitive experience at the top end, but I don't want to anymore. That's kind of why I came to Dark and Darker. It's because I didn't want to manage a an entire company on New World with 100 people or more than 100 people at some points, and basically treat it like my job. I wanted to come and play and have fun in a like semi-competitive, uh, but still have that like feeling of intensity of like, oh, if I lose all my gear, I lose all my gear, right? Like there's a proper balance, and they had that in playtest. You know, I would say playtest 3 and 4, and the early beginning of the uh, early access. And I think that the game was kind of in its best state when there was the 15 lobbies, but it led to weird game loops where you would get a character from level 1 to 15 and then restart, right? But yeah, I kind of wanted to bring attention to this and tell everybody I'm back. I'm going to be making a little video series of issues that I'm finding with Dark and Darker. I'm also going to be doing some build guides. The problem is that I've been doing with build guides is that I actually like to do research on my build guides and do the math behind them. But the meta has been changing so rapidly because every week there's a new patch, and every week they've been hitting balance, which I think is also a huge issue. They need to lay off of balance patches for a while and work on some core gameplay issues. Um, but I'm gonna just try to start getting that stuff out, that type of content out. So like build guides, um, how to guides, like how to do solo hell, how to do this, how to do that, how to learn how to rat. I'm gonna do a lot of that kind of content. But yeah, I kind of just wanted to tell people I'm back and spread some awareness that Dark and Darker has an issue and it needs to become more casual friendly, or we're going to keep seeing more posts like this. I do have suggestions. I leave them to them. If you guys want to hear them, join the Discord or leave a comment of what you guys like. If we could have a discussion of how I think they can help bring casual players back. But something needs to be done because the new player experience and the casual player experience in Dark and Darker right now is pretty bad, and there's no getting around that. Some of my best friends who are pretty, like semi-competitive gamers, they've already quit because the new player experience was terrible. Right? They bought the game, they spent $35. They bought it, they played for about 2 weeks, and they said, I still have really no clue what I'm doing. There's no in-game tutorial. There's no explanation to what any of these stats do. There's no tooltips. They have to go look at a wiki. You have to go to outside sources to find anything. So they stopped playing because they didn't feel like they could get ahead. And even once they learned the mechanics and they started killing people and getting getting extractions on a regular basis, even then they're like, oh, I don't even know really what high roller is. What's the difference in loot? The only way that you can actually do to figure it out is by paying for it and going in and dying a bunch and basically wasting your money just to see what that gameplay loop even is, because there's no real explanation unless you go to the Discord or the Reddit or a wiki. There's nothing in the game that actually helps new players or casuals figure anything out. So like, I don't know how anybody who has found this game and isn't on the Reddit and isn't on the Discord, or doesn't read the wiki, I don't know how they learn anything about the game other than through YouTube and outside sources, which is a huge problem. But yeah, 25-minute long video. Thanks for sticking around, guys. I'll be back. I'm going to start making more and more videos. I just kind of wanted to say thanks again and tell you guys I'm back and kind of give you a preview of what some of the new content's going to be like. But yeah, thanks for watching. Peace.